weekly and daily. Weekly to assist with my lesson planning for our weekly units, and then daily to assist with anything that I need to add to that lesson plan to make it better.
So that would be almost daily. Our lesson plans are due on Wednesdays each week, so I meet with my co-partner and we figure out what we're doing. We toss the skills that we know we're going to focus on the next week in ChatGPT. Sometimes we'll throw in the text, like here frequently we've been using Freak the Mighty. That's been the novel we've been using. So we'll upload a PDF of that novel. We'll throw the skills that we want to focus on, tell ChatGPT, hey, we're looking at chapters 18 to 22. How can these skills apply? And of course, we can do that as teachers. We've done this novel several times, so we already have an idea, but ChatGPT is just another tool that we can use to get maybe new ideas, or maybe sometimes just validate, oh yeah, we did do that right. So, daily.
Adding small group activities, adding differentiation for my students, especially those with IEPs. Also adding in different music and movement routines for my kindergarten students. We started a new curriculum this year with Benchmark, and it doesn't offer a lot of movement for our kindergarten students, and they need a lot of time to move. Put in ChatGPT with my lesson plans to add in music and movement to those routines. So like if we're counting the words and sentences, we might hop for each word in those sentences.
Well, lesson planning, specifically creating the materials that we're going to use, especially like exit tickets, quick exit tickets, or SOL stems pulled from different text.
It's allowed me more time to build relationships with my students. It's also allowed me more time to build relationships with their parents as well, to let them know how their students are doing more frequently. Instead of having to take all that stuff home, now I have time in class to send those messages, to play different games with my kids, to get to know them on a one-to-one basis.
So before ChatGPT, creating these SOL STEM questions for various texts took a lot of time. We had SOL STEMs that we had kind of pulled from like TestNav, so we were able to write our own questions, but it takes a lot of time. With ChatGPT, you're able to throw it in there, and we always get it to tell us, what's the correct answer, what's the incorrect answer, and why. To give that explanation. So if a student misses it, we can see a little bit quicker, okay, maybe this is what they were thinking. So it's, again, a huge time saver to be able to just throw that in there and get those questions. So I can spend my time, analyzing that data a little bit more, observing my students while they're completing their assignments. So I can throw more stuff in ChatGPT and get some more ideas. So that's been a really big help too. I know right when we did our first growth assessment, we threw that data in there, and it was able to pair students for specific skills, like help to scaffold in the classroom, like maybe the student struggled, the student was doing okay, pair those together. And again, that's something a teacher can do, but it makes it a lot quicker if you can throw it in ChatGPT and just get it faster, and then you can spend your time doing other things. It also did a great job at giving us ways that we could better meet our EL students, differentiated instruction for our SPED students, so it's been a benefit in that way. It's really nice to have another thing to brainstorm with. Because again, when I'm using ChatGPT, I'm normally with my co-partner, so we already have some ideas, we have things that we've done in the past, but just to have something else to generate some ideas, and sometimes you like them and sometimes you don't. And again, sometimes it's validating because we're like, oh, we did do that for context clues, I guess we're doing a good job. It's nice in ChatGPT if they give you some suggestions that you've already tried, you can just say, hey, I've done these, you got any more? And it gives you a whole nother list. So it's a really big time saver.
More free time for me as a teacher. When I go home, I have a 6-year-old son I like to spend time with. I used to take a lot of work home with me. Now I don't have to. ChatGPT, it analyzes my data for me. It creates different lesson plans for me. It offers different activities, and they're all aligned with our standards. I type in those standards. It'll formulate me a weekly lesson plan. I'll put that in, and then I'm done on Friday. I don't have to worry about doing any lesson planning at home on the weekend. So in the beginning, as I was on the AI team, I brought it back to my colleagues and they were like, I don't know about using ChatGPT. And so we went over it in a collab one day, and we worked on putting different things, telling them what we wanted to do. And we had a couple of colleagues that were like, hey, I don't like really communicating with my parents. I don't know how to explain things to them the way they need to be explained. And so I said, oh, well, put that in ChatGPT. So now my colleagues will use ChatGPT to communicate with parents, especially when we have to say those things like, these are the areas that your student needs help with. And so ChatGPT will formulate them a little nice ice cream sandwich. It gives them something positive, gives them the area that they need help on, and then it summarizes everything that we need. We've also used it for letters to go home to parents to explain that this is what we're seeing overall in the grade level, what they need help with. It'll offer activities to do at home with their students, like when you're riding in the car, reading the road signs, different things like that, to incorporate that phonemic awareness and those phonic lessons. So we love ChatGPT here at PHES in kindergarten.
So when we are doing observations, we are able to keep track of who has been observed, how often that they have been observed, and then when we use our Microsoft Forms to keep track of the observational data, we are able to upload that to ChatGPT, and it gives us a summary of the observation, which then helps us to generate an email to give feedback, instant feedback to that teacher. The other data that it gives us with the teachers is their rating. We're using a rating system, so are they posting their objectives? So for each individual teacher, we can say, is this progressing? Are they getting better? And then as an overall school, we are able to look at the trends within the teachers, which drives our collaborative planning sessions, and then also gives some points of where we need to look for the next week.
I've used the data and uploaded it to the ChatGPT by looking at students' benchmark scores or end of the unit assessments. You're easily able to upload either your whole school's data or just even a grade level's data. So if you're looking at a specific skill, you can upload, say, 5th or 6th grade English, and upload that into it, and it'll break it down by which skills were the strengths, which skills were the weaknesses. And then you can even go even further. Once you find weaknesses and strengths, you can identify which teachers taught the skill better than other teachers, and then they can figure out who or which way they taught it, and kind of give ideas back and forth to see how they instructed on that. For students, it also helps the teacher look at your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 groups, and if it's students that need interventions, it'll even go even further if you ask it another question to break it up, and it actually puts the students into groups. You can have it where it doesn't use students' names. It'll pop up their student numbers and the interventions and the small group plans, and then you can ask for actual lesson plans when you get even further with the data. So it's really helpful school-wide to identify which skills that teachers need to continuously remediate throughout the school year and puts them in groups, and also helps teachers understand and know who taught it best and who didn't.
So ChatGPT helps us when we are collecting observational data. We are able to create threads within ChatGPT that is specific to teachers that we observe. So after observations, we upload the observational data we collected, and when we prompt it to give us areas of growth and areas of strength, then it can pull from previous feedback and just give some connections to things we saw the week before, and do we see improvement in those. And then it helps with the timeliness of sending an email. So we'll send an email within 30 minutes to an hour after an observation. So it's very quick back to the teacher. The teacher has feedback that day, and we can discuss and then move forward. So
Otter has been a game changer during our collaborative planning sessions, because you just hit record and it will transcribe what it transpires during the meeting. So it's recording different voices. For the most part, we get all the right words, and at the end it gives you a list of next steps. So it records what's going on, like what are we teaching, who is responsible for making different resources, because during the collaborative it's only 40 minutes and it's very fast paced, so we're looking, it's hard to keep track of taking notes while we're also trying to collaborate with teachers. So having that has been really helpful. It also can be, as a coach, I can say, you know, what was my tone during the meeting? You know, if something came up and I needed to speak about whatever it may be, you know, what was a good tone checker, which also goes into coaching conversations. So you can use it during the classroom observation to take notes also, because it's really hard to see, you know, what are the students doing, what are the teachers doing. And if you're looking at teacher talk versus student talk, that's been one way that Otter will, you know, listen to the classroom, and can afterwards you can ask it questions just like ChatGPT. So I could say, you know, can you give me a comparison of teacher talk versus student talk? And it will say, you know, either, you know, there was equal amounts, or the, you know, teacher talked most of the time, or things like that. And then afterwards, when I'm doing my coaching conversation with the teacher, if I have it on, then I can also, you know, do a tone check. You know, how was the meeting? What was the tone of the meeting? To make sure that I'm being, you know, professional and kind, but also direct.
So ChatGPT was very helpful at the beginning of the year. Every school is required to have a school improvement plan and maintain a school improvement plan. But this year they wanted schools to conduct a comprehensive needs assessment, which typically happens if you have indicators at a level 2 or a level 3, of which we didn't have any of those, but still it gives us ideas for improvement, especially within instruction, so we can move forward in our journey, in our academic achievement journey. So we took ChatGPT and triangulated data that was required within the comprehensive needs assessment. Now, in previous years, when you complete a comprehensive needs assessment, you have to make teams of teachers within your building to triangulate different data points based upon different goals, whether it be PALS or math or SOL reading or math scores. And then they can come up with ideas and action steps based upon the triangulation of data. But with the help of ChatGPT, this cut down on required meetings, so it, you know, is a really good use of cutting down on the human resource time that would be required to meet after school, and actually gave probably better output information than we really could have come up with on our own in a much shorter amount of time. Then taking the prompts from within the comprehensive needs assessment, putting that in ChatGPT and matching that up with the data that it provided to us through the triangulation of the data points we provided to it, and it was able to output certain goals for us to work towards for this year.